Hello everybody, it's Dr. Meyer here with a video for you on triads and their symbols. The most basic chord in tonal harmony is the triad. We've briefly discussed the tonic triad, but what is a triad in general? A triad is a chord made of 3 notes stacked in thirds. Triads are very important because they are the main chords in tonal music. They frame melodic motion and assist the tonic triad. There are many types of triads, so we need to know how to classify them for our analyses. There are 4 characteristics: the root, the quality, and the position and voicing of the triad. Let's talk first about the root. The root is the bottom note when the chord is stacked in thirds and gives the triad its name. You can see that the root of the major chord in our example here is D, because it's at the bottom of the 3 stacked notes, hence D major triad. No matter how the chord is stacked on the staff, D will always be the root of the chord. To find the root, stack the chord into thirds and name the triad from the bottom tone. The other 2 tones are called the third and fifth because of their intervallic relationship with the root. The quality of the triad depends on the quality of the intervals it contains. For instance, this major triad contains a major third and a minor third. This is recognizable as the tonic triad in the C major scale because of its intervallic content. Every major chord will have these intervals in this configuration. The minor triad has a minor third on the bottom and a major third on the top. You can recognize this triad as the tonic triad in C minor because of these intervals. Every minor triad will have these intervals in this exact configuration. The diminished triad contains 2 minor thirds stacked on top of one another. The diminished triad is found in music, but not as frequently as the major and minor triads. Every diminished triad will only have minor thirds in it. Finally, the augmented triad is made up of stacked major thirds. The augmented triad is the rarest of the 4 triad qualities, but it's important to know how to construct one. Listen to the 4 triad qualities in the order that I discussed them. Now it's your turn to practice constructing and spelling triads. Construct a major triad above B flat and a minor triad above F. Make sure you stack thirds on top of the root and check the interval qualities to make sure that you've constructed the right quality triad. Here's what you should have gotten for B flat major. When we spell triads, we always start from the bottom and say the note names in order going upward. So here it's B flat, D, F. And here's what you should have gotten for the F minor triad. It's spelled F, A flat, C. The position of the triad depends on which of its tones are in the bass, or the lowest sounding tone. Root position has the root in the bass, or its lowest sounding tone. First inversion of the triad moves the root to the top and has the third of the triad in the bass. And the second inversion moves the root and the third above the fifth of the triad, putting it in the bass. It's very important to understand that the root and the bass are not the same thing. The root is the bottom note when stacked in thirds, and that's how we get the name of the triad. All the triads above are called D major triads because D is the root. Now the bass is the lowest sounding pitch at any given time. This bass note changes often, which is why we have different position names for the triad. The last distinguishing characteristic of the triad is its voicing. The voicing is how the notes are distributed on the staff or staves. The 2 triads on the left have different voicings, but they're both spelled G, B, D. So they are both G major triads. The same happens to the two chords on the right. They're both spelled A-C-E and are both A minor triads, but with different voicings. Voicings can take on many forms, as many as your imagination can think of. They can have many doublings, but they have to have at least 3 pitches to make a triad. The voicing of the triad is the most flexible characteristic of all 4 that we have discussed. Now that we know how to distinguish triads from one another, we can label them and talk about their relationship to tonic in our analysis with figured bass symbols and Roman numerals. Figured bass symbols represent the intervals above the bass, and so show the position of the triad. Figured bass symbols grew from the Baroque practice of accompanying on the keyboard from just a bass line with symbols. So it's a type of shorthand, and they didn't want to waste paper and ink writing all those notes. Below, the root position triad has a third and a fifth above the lowest sounding pitch, and could appear like the figure below with just a 5 and a 3 to indicate that it's in root position. More commonly, however, the 5 and the 3 would be left out altogether and written with no figured bass at all, like the bottom example. So if you saw a bass note with no figures, you would just play a chord in root position above the written note. First inversion has a third and a sixth above the bass. The figured bass would be written as a 6 and a 3, but commonly the 3 was left out and could be seen like this below with just a 6 to indicate first inversion. Lastly, second inversion has a fourth and a sixth above the bass. The figured bass looks like a 6-4 under the bass note. There's no shorthand for second inversion, because if we eliminate the 4, it would be confused with first inversion, so both intervals are represented here in the figured bass. Try to build a triad above each bass note using the figured bass below in B flat major. The triad qualities and positions are given for you. You should have gotten G and C above the E flat for the C minor first inversion, a D and an F above the B flat for the B flat major triad in root position, and a B flat and a D above the F for the first inversion of the B flat major triad. Roman numerals are used to analyze triads in music. Roman numerals are symbols that represent the scale degree of the root of the triad. Some analysts use uppercase, some analysts use lowercase Roman numerals. We're going to use all uppercase. Below are the triads built on each scale degree in C major and C minor respectively. Comparing the two, you can see that the major scale has 3 major chords in it built on 1, 4, and 5, which happen to be the primary chords in major. It also has 3 minor chords built on 2, 3, and 6, and 1 diminished quality chord on 7. In natural minor, it's somewhat opposite of major, with 3 minor triads on the primary chords, 3 major triads on 3, 7, and 6, and 1 diminished triad on 2. For now, we're always going to use the leading tone in minor, so that the chords on 5 and 7 are both the same quality in major and minor. Practice constructing triads in the key of E flat major. Notice that the Roman numerals have figured bass symbols by them. We can use both symbols in conjunction to convey different information. It's best to start finding the root of the chord, building it in root position according to the major or minor scale, and then invert it to your desired position. You should have gotten an E flat major chord, spelled E flat G B flat, an A flat major chord in second inversion, spelled E flat A flat C, and an F minor chord in first inversion spelled A flat C F. In this video on triads, we learned that they are distinguished by 4 separate characteristics: their root, quality, which could be major, minor, diminished, or augmented; their position, which could be root position, first inversion, second inversion; and their voicing. 2 important elements for analysis are figured bass, which conveys the position of the triad, and Roman numerals, which show the scale degree of the root of the triad. We can use both symbols in conjunction to convey different information about the triad. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.